Hello everyone, welcome to Thought Soup. This is episode number 12, and today I'm going to talk about reincarnation. Now, humans have a lot of beliefs, different beliefs as to what happens when we die. Reincarnation is just one of them. Many cultures have it, some cultures don't have it, chose not to have it. And that's fine. Nobody knows for sure, obviously, because you can't prove it. Although, as far as reincarnation is concerned, there are a lot of documentations of people remembering quite accurately their past life, describing in great detail what their life was like, where they lived, what they wore. And upon checking, it seemed like it was correct. And they had no way of knowing that. So there's some evidence, empirical evidence, that reincarnation is real, even though not all of us can remember our past lives. When we think of geniuses, I think of Leonardo da Vinci, of course, but I especially love Mozart, and I really appreciate Einstein. When we look at those two, among many others, how can we explain what they did at such an early age? We can't. We just can't, because we don't know. So we call them geniuses. That's a nice little box. We write genius, boom, we don't understand. It's some crazy stuff. These guys are out there. That's how we deal with it. But it doesn't answer the question. I mean, how can we understand that a little boy of 3 years old is capable of writing music? At 5, writes his first sonnet. At 7, his first full-scale symphony. And at 12, a complete opera. It's insane, right? Einstein was the same as a young kid. So, well, he didn't write music, of course, but with physics. So we don't really understand how that is. And for me, that's always been a clear evidence that these people were just following through what they did in their past life. They were continuing something because they already knew it at such an early age. They didn't have to go through all their learning of maybe 15, 20, 25 years before they could start this kind of work. They started right away. They already knew it. So that's a pretty clear, for me, a clear sign. Another one is dead bodies. I mean, if you've ever seen a dead body, somebody you knew well, a parent, a close parent, or a grandparent, or an aunt, you probably noticed after 2 or 3 days before the burial, this person didn't look like the person you knew at all. It's actually quite surprising. I've had it happened to me many times, and every time I was surprised, like, who is this person? Kind of recognize them, of course, but not really. So something came out of the body, and the body became just a body. It could be anybody. Very strange. So the problem with reincarnation as a concept is what reincarnates, who reincarnates, how? Is there a soul? So I don't really like the word soul just because it has a heavy connotation. It's like the word God. It's very, very, it's heavy. It's a heavy word because it has a lot of history and everybody has their own idea about it. So I'd rather use consciousness. That's my thing. So consciousness appears in a body and then it disappears. But where did that consciousness come from? How come we were 1 billion like 150 years ago and now we're 8 billion? Where did those extra consciousness come from? We don't know. So my understanding is this. What I've come to realize is this. Consciousness is both individual and universal. Now, that statement is completely illogical. Our brain cannot understand this. You cannot be the single and the multiple at the same time. Right? Doesn't make any sense. So, consciousness exists outside of space and time. It doesn't belong in our very narrow definitions, understanding, and perceptions of the universe. It is. And from that universal consciousness, everything can manifest. Anything can manifest. That's the nature of consciousness. So it takes different forms. It takes the form of a body. It takes the form of a cloud of whatever. There's no end to it. It can just be whatever it is. So reincarnation is very hard for our brain to understand for those reasons, because it cannot be categorized easily. And so it brings us to, wow, this must be BS. Now, there's two series that came close to it that I know of. Star Trek, if there's any Trekkies out there, they would talk about subspace. They would send signals through subspace, so sub underneath space. So they had the idea that there was something all encompassing, all far-reaching, like subspace, which would kind of unify all the different parts of the cosmos. And Star Wars had a similar thing, which they called the Force. Use the Force, Luke. Right? We all remember that. And Master Yoda would say the Force is everywhere. It's where, when you breathe, when in a plant, in the clouds, in the stars. So that's the closest we've come to in our pop culture to identify universal consciousness. The way it came to me to understand this, because it's one thing to live it, you just live it, but if we wanted to put it into words, and words are so narrow, just mental constructs, just sounds that come out of our mouth that we interpret, very difficult. The best way I found is snow. That's the best way to express what I'm trying to talk about with reincarnation. We all know snow. Snow has a few qualities. It's white, it's cold, and it reflects light. And essentially, all snow everywhere is the same on this planet. Whether you're in the North Pole, South Pole, in the Andes, in the Alps, in the Himalayas, snow is snow. We all know this. Now, even though the snow shares this common nature, which is cold, white, and reflects light, it is made up of individual crystals. Each crystal of snow is absolutely unique. It's not incredible? In the same way, we are individuals expressing ourselves through this body, through whatever means. But at the same time, we are universal consciousness. There's no difference. This is why in many religions it say we are one. We are brothers and sisters, but not just among our species, with everything around us. We are children of the universe, literally. So that's why I have no doubt that reincarnation is a fact. We reincarnate. Consciousness does not stop. It continues always has and always will. There is no beginning and there's no end to it. This is just our very small perceptions that makes us think there is a beginning and an end to everything, but there isn't. It's just life happening, not human life, life with a big L, universal life. Suns expanding and contracting, going supernova, exploding, black holes, everything just moving. Yes. So that's my take on reincarnation. Wanted to keep it short. Not easy to keep it short on such a topic, but I think we're good for now. So basically, we are individuals, but we are also universal at the very same time, even though we're not aware of it, perhaps. Even though what we see tells us different. But don't trust what you see. It's not exactly how we perceive. Things are much, much deeper than that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it is a little useful for you. If your brain goes into confusion, have no fear. This is normal. Brains tend to explode with these, I was going to say concepts, but with the exploration of this reality. The brain is not made for it. It goes way beyond brain. So have a great week. Next week I'll talk about, I should remember this. The joys of relaxing, of taking it easy in our crazy world. And I don't mean just 2 weeks a year, right? The joys of slowing down. That's what we'll look at next week. Hopefully we'll see you there. If you have any comments, don't hesitate to write them, questions, whatever. I'll answer them. Take care. See you next week. Bye.